Alrighty, folks. So let's just jump into it. I want to preface this entire discussion with the understanding that when we talk about wellness and health, we have to think about the mind, the body, and the spirit as one. I know that sounds new agey, but bear with me. The more we separate those, the harder it is for us to be completely healthy, wholly healthy. Think about when you go into the doctor's office. If you are having depression or anxiety, you'll go see a specialist for that. If you're having issues with your physical health, you'll go see a specialist for that. If you're having spiritual health, you'll go see a pastor or a close friend or someone you look up to in the church or faith or whatever it is that you practice. And that's all good. Specialties and niches are needed in life, but we have to move forward with this idea of wellness, that it is all of those things combined. I like to think about my life, me as a person on a tripod, and those three legs that are holding me up is my physical health, my mental health, and my spiritual health. If one of those starts to come down, the whole thing's going to come toppling down, and each one of those affects the other. If you tilt one leg of a tripod, the entire leg is going to tilt, or the entire whatever unit is on top is going to tilt. So I wanted to preface that discussion with this. We're talking about specifically mental and emotional wellness today, but we need to know that physical health and spiritual health is also so important. So I mentioned I won't take up too much of your time, so let's just jump into it. We'll start off with managing stress and promoting mental health. So mindful breathing, I put at the top of that. And there's a reason for that. So when talking about mitigating stress, they've done really well done, robust clinical studies trying to find out what is the fastest way to get rid of cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, from your bloodstream. So how do we get rid of the stress hormones in real time and consistently? And so they took a bunch of meditation practices. They took a bunch of mindfulness practice, breathing practices, and they paired them all up against each other in different control groups and then swapped them later on. And they found that this method called the physiological sigh was the most, over all other meditation or breathing techniques, the most beneficial for reducing stress in real time. And so I'm not going to go really into it. We did a whole lesson on, or it felt like a whole lesson on the physiological sigh. What it is I'll demonstrate. It's 2 inhales through the nose and then 1 long exhale through the mouth. And so it's 1 long inhale through the nose to fully expand the lungs, and then another sharp inhale to inflate all the little sacs in your lungs to release any built up carbon dioxide in your lungs. So it's and I encourage you guys to practice this at home. Let me know if you've never done one. Do one right now, and let me know how you feel just after one. Because they took people's blood before the physiological sigh and directly after, and they found a huge drop in cortisol, epinephrine, and norepinephrine, the stress hormones. It's pretty crazy. So I won't go too much into that, but breathing can and will influence our state of mind. That's a scientific fact. So practicing deliberate breathing techniques such as the physiological sigh helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system. That is, for those of you who don't know the nerd speak, we have 2 main types of our nervous system: the sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is fight or flight, and the parasympathetic is, they call the rest and digest. It does tons of other things, but it's really away from the fight or flight. And most of us don't realize, a lot of us unfortunately are in a constant state of fight or flight. It may not feel like it because we don't have super raised levels of cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine in our blood, but because there are remnants of those hormones in our blood consistently, it will wear down on our body so quickly in so many different ways, in our immune system, in our nervous system health, our overall physical health, which has a direct impact on your mental health. So I'm not going to beat the dead horse. Breathing is super important. And I encourage you guys to take 5 minutes every day and focus on slow, controlled breathing to minimize all the noise of our daily lives and to bring it back to right now, to the present. Because when we breathe and when we focus on breathing, oftentimes, unfortunately, for most of us, that is the only time that we are truly living in the present. And I'm not saying that lightly. I understand that, we do lots of things where we think we're totally in the moment. I think few of that, at least in my experience in Western civilization, living in America, most of the people that I interact with are not truly living in the moment. And I'm not speaking from a pedestal here. That's from me as well. And I think the few times would probably be listening to a child laugh, having really good conversations with friends where everybody is actively engaged, and breathing and focusing on what you're doing in the moment is truly some of the only times that I notice other people, and myself included, getting out of our heads and not thinking about anything else and just focusing on the moment. It's simple, but it is oh so needed for our overall mental and physical health. So hopefully I didn't bore too many of you just getting started, but mindful breathing is a huge way to reduce your stress immediately, which improves overall mental health, wellness, physical wellness, and will improve your trading in real time. Okay. Hopefully there's no questions so far. Did anyone try the physiological sigh? The one long inhale through the nose to fully inflate the lungs, a sharp one, and then a long exhale through the mouth until lungs are up. How did you feel afterwards? Did you feel a little bit better? It's pretty crazy. They did. Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. It's actually nuts how much it affects you in real time. And it's cool because not only does a physiological sigh help in real time, so whatever situation you're in, if you're sitting in traffic, someone just cut you off and you feel yourself getting stressed and frustrated, if you do a physiological sigh or two, in real time, your stress will go down. But not only that, throughout the day, consistently, it is the best way. Even that one that you did in the traffic will help reduce cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine in your blood for the rest of the day. It's pretty amazing. And I know it sounds so simple. How could it be true? Really robust, well done studies prove it. Okay, folks, let's move on to daily movement in our section on managing stress and promoting mental health. So regular physical activity boosts mental health by releasing endorphins. Endorphins are feel-good hormones. They're the neurotransmitters released by the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus in the brain. And physical activity reduces stress hormones like cortisol. So this is also proven. Even like a brisk walk. I actually have that in my notes. I'll just continue on my notes. Even short, low intensity movement, such as a brisk walk, can significantly improve mood and reduce anxiety. This isn't anything new agey, guys. This stuff is proven by science, and we know it intuitively. We've known it for thousands of years, to be honest. Exercise is good for us. Wow, big shocker, John. Thanks for the heads up. But truly, so many of us really do forget that even a brisk walk can significantly improve your mood and your mental health and reduce anxiety, which I know many of us struggle with, especially in the day trading atmosphere that we put ourselves in. So I encourage you guys to get out and exercise. I am going to be going over in the next month or so. The next 4-part series I'm going to be going over is physical wellness. So coming up with if you guys want me to, an individualized workout regimen for you as a person, like you can DM me and I'll help you with that. But also base levels, fundamentals that everybody should be doing. And that's going to be our next 4-part series. But as a start, just if you feel yourself a little stressed, a little overwhelmed with the noise of your life, go for a little walk outside. You'd be surprised what a little bit of nature and sunshine can do for your overall mental health. It's pretty incredible. And we should be aiming for at least 30 minutes of physical activity daily. If some of us are getting no activity during the day, and I'm not talking about walking from the couch to your office to the fridge, I'm talking about practical exercise to help yourself. If you are not doing any of that yet, start with 5 minutes. 5 minutes every couple days, then go to 10 minutes daily. Then what we should be aiming for is at least 30 minutes of physical activity daily, focusing on activities that you enjoy to maintain that consistency, because the consistency is what matters in all of this. You could push yourself as hard as you want for 4 hours, but if you only do it once a week, it's not going to be overall beneficial. But if you do it for 30 minutes, 5 days a week, your overall health is going to improve miles ahead of those short motivational bursts. So focus on the things that you guys like, because consistency is what matters. So we so far have talked about mindful breathing, daily movement, and my last point on managing stress and promoting mental health is going to be diet. You are what you eat, literally. I know we've heard that since we were children, but when you think about it on a cellular level, the fuel that you put into your body, what do you think we're made up of? Like we just eat whatever, and our cells are always going to be the exact same no matter what we're eating. When you start to think about it and bring those subconscious actions of our body to a conscious level and think that every cell is made up of the fuel that we put into our body, it starts to make sense why cancer is increasing across most countries, especially, unfortunately, in America. And you think, well, why is that? Why does the CDC think by 2050 that we are going to see a 90% increase in cancer rates? 90%. So almost everybody you know, whether you've had cancer or someone you know has cancer, it will be double by 2050 if we continue on the way that we are going. And why is that? Well, one, a sedentary lifestyle doesn't help at all, but also the foods that we are putting in our body are having a direct effect at a cellular level. It makes sense. We are what we eat, literally. Don't mean to go on a tangent, but this stuff is important to understand. So when you reach for those ultra processed chips on the food shelf, you have to think not only are all of the nutrients or the nutrients are burned out of those chips at the ultra high processing temperatures that they have to go to maintain shelf longevity. So all the nutrients are basically scorched out of them, but also all the oils that they put on them. And then from the very beginning, they're spraying pesticides on all of this food. Pesticides that are made to kill organisms, living organisms. I wonder what happens when we put that in our body. I can tell you it's not good. So bringing all this subconscious actions that we do on a daily basis, when we don't really think about what we're putting into our body, just understand that every single day, those decisions are making a huge impact on our overall health. And unfortunately, that's not just affecting you. That is affecting the people around you. If you are a caretaker, if you are in charge of your family and putting food on your family's table, your children, like that food is showing to give cancer at all ages because it is made to kill. That's not an overstatement. These pesticides are going from the food that they're sprayed with to our bodies. Again, I don't mean to beat the dead horse. It's just most people are unaware. They do not bring that stuff to a conscious level, and we are all dearly paying for it. So I want to talk about some recent studies that came out that is really, really cool and I find fascinating. So there's a new term that's been coined called the gut-brain connection. And that's probably not new, but what I'm talking about is new here. Recent research has revealed that the gut contains neurons. So our gut in our stomach has neurons in it. For those of you who don't know, for a long time, we only believed that neurons were found in our brain. Pretty crazy. So now we're calling it our second brain. Our gut is our second brain. That's what the new research is telling us. So our gut is directly communicating with our central nervous system, affecting mood, mental clarity, and overall health. Following this discovery of neurons in our gut, they did a study about judges, not just judges about parking tickets or small cases on small settlements. We're talking about death penalty and life sentences. They did a study, and it wasn't very robust, granted, but I found it super interesting. I thought I was going to throw it in anyway, where they tracked judges and the sentences and how harsh they were if they gave it in the late morning before lunch and after lunch. Every single judge that they tracked, it was only one study, granted, but every single judge that they tracked on every single sentence before they ate, they were giving more harsh. I mean, we're not talking about a couple years in jail, which is still huge. I mean, life sentences and death penalty sentences, all of them across the board were more harsh before they ate. And after lunch, after a good meal, all of them reduced the sentences across the board. And this was done on many different judges in many different cases. Again, it wasn't super robust. It was only done one time with a select few judges. But I think we all know on an intuitive level that when we have good food in our gut, we feel better. And now new research is revealing that we have neurons in our gut. We have a second brain in our gut that is directly affected by what foods we intake. So again, talking about you are what you eat. Well, now you have more reason to eat healthy and eat consistently nutritious whole foods, because it is directly affecting your overall stress, your overall mental stress, and your mental health. So again, I really don't mean to go on tangents here, but this stuff is fascinating to me and not enough people know about it. So when you think you're at the grocery store the next time, and you're thinking about getting your most tasty treat, I recommend downloading the app called Yuka. It's Yuka. All you have to do is download that app, and you can scan a barcode on your phone through the app, and it will tell you if it's organic, if it's too sweet, too caloric, and what additives. What I really focus on is what additives are in it, and it will tell you what additives are in it, and then it will tell you which ones are hazardous, which ones to totally avoid, which ones you should be aware of, and it tells you why you should be aware of all those things. Super beneficial, and it helps me steer away from a lot of foods that I thought were healthy that really weren't. Highly recommend that. So moving on. So what you eat plays a crucial role in maintaining a healthy gut, which in turn impacts brain function. Foods richer in fiber, probiotics, and healthy fats support gut health and improve mood and cognitive function. Again, all these points are science backed by well done studies. All right, guys, thanks for bearing with me. We are now on part 2, which is the importance of mindfulness and emotional regulation. So mindfulness, I have a quote by Jon Kabat-Zinn. Mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. Pretty crazy. Like, I'll say that one more time. The awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. That's what mindfulness is. And I don't know about for you guys, but for me, that doesn't happen super often, where I'm paying attention on purpose in the present moment and focusing on nothing but the present moment. It's pretty rare for me, unfortunately. I am consistently striving to improve that and pay more attention to the present, but it's hard and it doesn't happen often. It's pretty crazy. It's something that we should all work on. So the benefits of mindfulness practices like meditation and mindful movement, yoga and Tai Chi, have been shown to reduce stress, so norepinephrine, epinephrine, cortisol, enhance emotional regulation, and promote mental clarity. All these things we know. We knew this for thousands of years, but now we have the scientific rigor to back it up. And then a practical exercise to include mindfulness in your daily routine is to start with 5 to 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation each day. I know meditation for a lot of us sounds new agey, but let me get into it for a moment. Focus on your breath or a simple mantra. Mantra would be, I used to practice this before bed for certain meditation. You'd focus on a certain phrase and repeat it. It could be breath, for example. You would go, breath. And you would say that over and over again. And the only focus on that is to bring your attention to the present. Like you're just trying to get rid of all the other distractions, those little monkeys running through your brain, and only focus on what is at hand. And so that's why a mantra could be helpful for some people. It could be a phrase, a string of words, like eternal exchange over and over again, or whatever it might be for you guys. So I know I said that meditation for a lot of us sounds pretty new agey, but we talked about the physiological sigh and how in really well done clinical studies, it is the best way to reduce stress in real time, in the moment, and throughout the day to improve our overall wellness. That's a fact. So I would encourage you guys, if you do want to improve your mindfulness as well, incorporate them both at the same time. So just start with a couple minutes of the physiological sigh, one long inhale through the nose, followed by a sharp inhale again through the nose, and then a long exhale through the mouth. If you guys do that a couple times for a couple minutes a day, you would be shocked about how much better your emotional regulation is. The way you're able to take on whatever life throws at you and process those emotions in a healthier way, and not to react from those emotions, but to feel them fully and then turn and react exactly how you want to, instead of this coming on and then I'm immediately bouncing back and being reactionary to it. It's like you get to choose the more mindful you are. It's pretty cool. Like you think about people in your life, and maybe it's you who are extremely reactionary, where you have to walk on eggshells when talking about anything serious with them because you're scared that one thing might trip them into a defense, and then it's fight or flight, and they're yelling at you for a thing that happened 10 years ago. Whatever it might be, and that may be you. If you focus on this mindfulness technique, it is clinically shown that you will have a better time healthily processing your emotions and moving forward. And again, how does this all tie into trading? It makes a lot of sense for me when you're in trade and you start feeling all these emotions about fear and greed, and should I scale in even more because I'm making a bunch of money right now, or I just lost a bunch of money? Should I revenge trade? That most of that's on a subconscious level, but those feelings are real. And if we're not paying attention to them, and if we're not mindful of them, it's going to bite you in the ass. I promise you that. So moving forward, we're getting close to the end, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. Emotional regulation is our next point. This is our last point that we have. So techniques such as journaling, cognitive reappraisal. Cognitive reappraisal is the reframing of negative thoughts. So, for example, if you fail something, like you blow an account, instead of saying, damn, you just did that again, you do it every single time you get an account, you blow it. Like, what is wrong with you? Keep doing this. Be like, okay, well, what? Instead of saying that and you blow an account again, say, man, I wish I didn't do that, but let me take a breath. Let me go for a brisk walk outside. Let me do a physiological sigh. Let me come back to this and see where I can improve for next time. That small change is so important for not only our health, but also our improvement through our day trading career. That's a fact. Fact of the matter we're talking about there. So we talked about journaling, cognitive reappraisal, and mindfulness, and all those things can help us manage our emotions more effectively. Another big thing to emotional regulation is healthy communication. I often talk about this. We are not formally taught about communication typically ever in our lives, unless we take communications classes, which unfortunately most of them aren't great, to be honest. So we are from a toddler, from birth, actually, we are learning to communicate from our parents, from the people around us, from our siblings, from our friends, whatever it is. And all of a sudden, you look back and you're an adult and you're like, okay, I learned the ABCs and how to speak, but nobody ever taught me how to effectively communicate. What skills should I be using to effectively communicate? And I would argue that communication is the number one skill set that anyone can possess. And I have a few reasons to back that. I don't want to jump into them too much right now because I'm already running a little long. But if you guys are looking for a book to improve every aspect of your life and you want to start with communication, I highly recommend the book Crucial Conversations. I honestly could not recommend it enough. It changed the way I frame conversations and how I speak to everybody in my life. And it also gave me the perspective that communication is a skill set that has to be practiced and improved on. That if we are not doing those things, those same skills that we learned when we were toddlers and infants, unless we are developing them, we're stuck with them for the rest of our lives. Plain and simple. So when I talk about healthy communication for emotional regulation, I'm not talking about just communication with others, but I'm talking about communication with yourself. Are you being honest with yourself? Or are you, whatever is happening in your life, are you keeping it down? Are you keeping it in a subconscious level and not bringing it to a conscious level and dealing with whatever it is that you have to deal with? So healthy communication is not just about with the people in your community and the relationships you have, but also with with yourself. And bringing that stuff to your attention is super important. So I encourage you guys to, if you ever catch yourself where not dealing with something and all of a sudden you get triggered by something. I know triggered is such a fucking word now that everybody throws out there, but it is often true for most of us. We are broken people. Unfortunately, a lot of us do have trauma, and you'll see at some point in your life, someone will say something or something will happen, or you'll see something or you'll hear something or you'll feel something. You'll get mentally triggered and you will start to think about or feel a feeling, and you may not know how to deal with it. And oftentimes, most of us, unfortunately, because we were never taught the skill set of how to handle it, we will turn away from that feeling and we will keep it in the subconscious and we will try to distract ourselves. Oftentimes, unfortunately, when it's some pretty heavy trauma, a lot of that turns to substance abuse or some really unhealthy lifestyle choices. But what I'm encouraging you guys to do is to bring those feelings to a conscious level and to move forward from there. And so I have some practical exercises. We are wrapping up. Thanks for bearing with me. Practice journaling at the end of each day, noting any strong emotions you experience and reflecting on healthier ways to manage them in the future. So you can apply this to your general life and to your trading life exclusive. We talk about journaling all the time here at Eternal Exchange, about journaling your individual trades, how you felt during those trades, what you can improve on. If you take that same practice and apply it to your general life, you will also see improvements in there. And so my last point I wanted to talk about, we just talked about bringing those subconscious feelings to a conscious level. So they did this very, very interesting study. And I forget the name of the study. I could pull it up for you guys. All my notes are on a different doc right now. But what they did was they took participants and they asked them to journal for 15 to 20 minutes over a several day period about the most significantly traumatizing event in their life. I know for most of us, we're like, oh, that's something. And it shocked me, the results of this study. So they took a bunch of people, they sat them down, pen and paper. They could be by themselves, they could do it at home, whatever it was, in a private room or in the open. They said, we're going to give you 15 to 20 minutes to write about the most traumatizing moment of your life, the most traumatizing experience of your life. And we're going to do this for the next 5 days. What they experienced coming out of it was reduced stress levels, improved mood, and even a better immune system. So their immune function in their body improved leaving that study from journaling. Yes, this isn't some crazy whack clinical study that was done by some weird group. Very well done, well controlled study done by multiple universities now that showed that when people are able to process those emotions through journaling about these horribly traumatic events in their life, not only did their overall mental health improve, their physical health improved, and they also talked about, like on a subjective level, the participants talked about how much they were or how happy they were that they participated in the study because they are now fully worked through. Most of the time, the first day or two or even three that they would journal about this stuff, they were bawling, crying, whatever it was. And I mean, these were dozens and dozens of people. And now at this point, it's hundreds and hundreds, or if not, probably thousands of people. I would say probably tens of thousands of people because the study became so well known. But it shocked me, the results of this. And probably just because I've never thought about it, but it's pretty interesting when people bring these subconscious thoughts and feelings like we were just talking about. When those, and most of these people, they also talked about these, how they would have triggering events in their life where they, and I'm not talking about, I know the word trigger is such a new agey thing that people kind of squandered, but I mean, truly, when we have trauma in our life, there are things that will trigger us mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever it is. All these people said they saw improved signs of whatever triggers they were facing, or they now no longer experience those triggers at all. So just by doing this one time experiment on themselves for 15 to 20 minutes a day for 5 to 7 days, they showed massive improvements of mental health. And then what they did following some of the participants was they would journal about the second most traumatizing experience of your life, and then the third, and they went on and on. And now a lot of these people, without going to therapy, if that's something you don't want to do, I do encourage you if you do want to go to therapy, but without going to therapy, they are now living lives so much better than they did beforehand. So it's pretty cool. Let's see what last point I had. I said this reflective practice helps reorganize thoughts and emotions, promoting emotional regulation and mental clarity. I mean, this stuff is now backed by science. I think a lot of us knew that deep down. If you were able to work through these problems on a healthier level and a more practical way, you would be better off. But most of us don't have the skill sets or the knowledge or know how to do that. Or it's like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy. I'd have to pay a bunch of money. And what if I don't like the therapist and I have to go search for another one? And maybe there's only 2 in my area. Yada, yada, yada. Well, here's this study. Here's this practice that you can do to truly help with whatever it is you're going through. So that's my lesson today. We went a little bit over 33 minutes, 3 minutes shy of what I was aiming for. Not bad. So we went over techniques for managing stress and promoting mental health. And we went over the importance of mindfulness and emotional regulation. Hopefully you guys gained some insight from today's lesson. Hopefully I didn't go on a tangent too long on some of the points, but I'm passionate about this stuff, and hopefully that comes out in a positive way to you guys. This stuff is important. There's a reason I'm here talking about it. I could just slap some notes together and feed it to you guys and really not care, but I do care about you guys in this community. I truly do. I mean that. So hopefully you guys gain some stuff, have some actionable tools to now go improve your mental health, manage stress, help with emotional wellness as a whole, which in turn has a direct impact on your trading and the rest of your life as well. So I appreciate you guys a ton. Hopefully you guys, let me read through the chat real quick, folks. It's officially my conscious. Oh man, you guys are funny. I appreciate the kind words. It's no coincidence I am here today, man. That's awesome, dude. Appreciate those kind words. That's really cool. Sorry to interrupt. Are you recording and posting it in your section? Picking up the kiddos, missed most of it and found insight in your mental wellness classes. Absolutely, yes. So it is recorded, unfortunately, because of the technical issues I had at the beginning. I didn't record probably 1 minute, which is just the intro, which I can cover right now. This is a 4-part series of creating a balanced lifestyle. Last week we went over building a foundation of physical wellness, and this week we're covering mental and emotional wellness. And I prefaced the entire discussion with the understanding that when we talk about wellness and health, we have to think about the body, the mind, and the soul as one. The more we separate them, the harder it is for us to be completely healthy, wholly healthy. There it is. We have the intro and the recording now as well. So I will post that to YouTube and post it to the Discord. You guys will be able to go and check that stuff out. One of the quotes I heard you say, and stick with me, we live in our minds, so make it a good place to be. Oh, the OG, man. That was from maybe even a year ago, dude. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, we live in our minds, and so we ought to make it a good place to live. I would say we live in our minds most of the time, and honestly, it's probably pretty unfortunate. There's so much beauty in this life. No matter what struggles you're dealing with, it's easy to overlook the beauty because it is constantly around us. It's overwhelming. It's so easy to pick up on negative stuff because it's like a fly on this beautiful painting that we have in front of us. It's like now all we can do is focus on the fly, like on a beautiful movie that we're watching, where the cinematography is on point. There's this fly buzzing around. It's like that's the negativity in your life. It is such a small portion of it. What we need to do is clean up our minds and say, hey, like that little spot on my TV or on that painting, that's minuscule compared to the beauty of the overall picture that we're looking at. All right, folks, we'll go get some water. Seriously, you're probably dehydrated. 70% of Americans are living in a constant state of dehydration. Throw a small pinch of salt, sea salt, Himalayan sea salt, preferably, in your water. We should be aiming to get 32 ounces of water in before the first 4 hours of waking. So most of us aren't doing that. So go get some water. Go practice mindfulness. Go exercise. Like, these things matter. And go tell your loved ones that you love them. No matter if the last time you did it was 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago. I mean, it's prideful for us to think that tomorrow is guaranteed, and we need to humble ourselves. Say, okay, what really matters in my life? Probably most of us would put relationships at the top of that list. So go tell those loved ones that you love them. Seriously, go do it. All right, friends. Appreciate you guys a ton. I will catch you guys tomorrow for my psychology lesson, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.